the sting of negativity. Hey there, listener. Have you ever started your day feeling on top of the world, maybe sipping your favorite coffee, scrolling through your phone, when, bam, someone's harsh comment hits you like a bucket of cold water? It's jarring, right? One moment you're cruising along enjoying the warmth of your morning routine, and the next, your mood's taken a nosedive. Those words, that unkind gesture, they stick, don't they? Like gum on your shoe, they're hard to shake off, clinging to your thoughts and dragging down your spirit. Maybe it's a snarky remark from a coworker, a passive-aggressive text from a friend, or even a stranger's rude comment online. Whatever it is, it has this sneaky way of lingering, replaying in your mind like an unwanted song on repeat. Suddenly, the brightness of your day feels dimmed, and you're left wondering how something so small can have such a big impact. It's frustrating, and if you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. We've all been there, caught off guard by negativity that seems to come out of nowhere. But here's the thing. What if I told you that you've got the power to not let those moments ruin your day? That you can face toxic people, those folks who seem to carry a cloud of negativity wherever they go, and come out stronger, calmer, even wiser. I'm not talking about pretending the hurt doesn't exist or putting on a fake smile to push through. No, this is about something deeper, something more empowering. It's about taking control of your own narrative, refusing to let someone else's bitterness steer your ship. You see, toxic people are like storms. They can be loud, disruptive, and overwhelming. But just like a seasoned sailor navigating through rough seas, you can learn to ride the waves without letting them sink you. You don't have to be at the mercy of their negativity. You can be the one who decides how the story unfolds. That's what we're diving into today. This isn't just about dodging drama or avoiding conflict, though those can be helpful strategies. It's about building a life where you're the one in charge no matter how stormy the seas get. We are talking about cultivating an inner strength that lets you face harsh words or unkind actions without losing your sense of self. Imagine being able to hear a cutting remark and, instead of letting it fester, brushing it off like dust from your shoulder. Imagine dealing with that difficult family member, that critical boss, or that perpetually negative friend, and walking away with your peace intact. It's not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about becoming unshakable, grounded in who you are and what you value. So stick with me, because we're going on a journey inspired by ancient wisdom, practical strategies, and a touch of storytelling to help you navigate the toxic people in your life with grace and strength. We'll explore how the teachings of Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius can offer timeless insights into handling negativity. We'll share real-life stories of people who've faced toxic interactions and come out on top, not by fighting fire with fire, but by mastering their own responses. And we'll break down actionable steps you can take to protect your peace, set boundaries, and even grow from these challenging encounters. Whether you're dealing with a one-off harsh comment or a recurring toxic relationship, this journey is for you. Let's get started, and together we'll discover how to turn those stormy moments into opportunities for growth and resilience. You ready? The weight of words. Picture this. You're at a family gathering, laughing with your cousins, sharing stories and soaking in the warmth of the moment, when your uncle drops a snide remark about your career choice. It's unexpected, a sharp jab that cuts through the laughter, leaving you momentarily stunned. Or maybe you're at work, putting the finishing touches on a presentation you've poured your heart into, only to have a coworker toss out a backhanded compliment, like, "Nice effort, I guess," leaving you second-guessing yourself and your abilities. These moments, they're like tiny pebbles thrown into the calm lake of your mind, creating ripples that spread far and wide, lingering longer than they have any right to. Why is it that a single negative comment can outweigh 10 compliments? It's almost like our brains are wired to hold on to the bad stuff, replaying it like a broken record that you can't turn off. You might spend the rest of the day replaying that Uncle Ks words or that coworker CS tone, wondering if there's truth to their criticism, even when deep down you know it's unfair. It's a frustrating trick of the mind, this tendency to let negativity take up so much space, while the positive fades into the background. But here's where the story shifts, where you get to flip the script. Those harsh words, they're not about you, they're a reflection of the person who said them, their struggles, their insecurities, their battles. Think about it. When someone lashes out, it's often because they're wrestling with something inside. Maybe your uncle's snide remark comes from his own unfulfilled dreams, a frustration he's carrying that has nothing to do with your path. Or that co-worker's backhanded compliment might stem from their own envy or insecurity about not being in the spotlight. It's not always obvious, but when someone projects their doubts onto you, it's usually a mirror of their inner turmoil rather than a judgment of your worth. The ancient Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius had a way of putting this into perspective with his timeless wisdom. He encouraged us to look past the surface, to peer into the soul of the person criticizing us. When you do that, when you take a moment to consider what might be driving their behavior, you realize their opinion doesn't define your worth. It's just a glimpse into their world, a snapshot of their struggles, not a verdict on who you are or what you're capable of. So next time someone's words hit you hard, pause, take a deep breath, let it fill your lungs and steady your racing thoughts. Give yourself a moment to step back from the sting. Ask yourself, is this about me or is it about them? Is this criticism rooted in my actions or is it a projection of their own baggage? This isn't about ignoring the sting or pretending it didn't hurt. Those feelings are real and it's okay to acknowledge them. But it's about choosing not to let it sink you, not to let it pull you into a spiral of self-doubt. You've got the power to decide what sticks and what slides off, like water off a duck's back. Maybe you visualize brushing it away, letting it drift into the air where it belongs. This shift in perspective doesn't erase the initial discomfort, but it gives you control over how long you carry it. And that's where our journey begins, with the choice to see negativity for what it is, a fleeting moment, a reflection of someone else's world, and not let it rewrite your story. It's the first step toward building resilience, toward crafting a mindset that stands firm against the storms others might throw your way. From here, we'll explore how to turn this awareness into a strength, a tool to navigate life's challenges with grace and confidence, no matter who crosses your path. The mirror of self-awareness. Let's talk about self-awareness because it's like the flashlight you need to navigate the fog of toxic interactions. Imagine you're walking through a smoky room. Hard to see, hard to breathe, right? The air is thick, your vision is blurred, and every step feels uncertain. Toxic people can feel like that smoke, clouding your clarity, making you doubt yourself and leaving you disoriented in a haze of negativity. Their harsh words, dismissive attitudes, or manipulative behaviors can swirl around you, obscuring your sense of self and making it tough to find your footing. But here's the game changer. When you know who you are, when you're aware of your own triggers and boundaries, it's like flipping on a light in that smoky room. Suddenly the path ahead becomes clear. You can see where you're going, sidestep the obstacles, and move forward with confidence. Self-awareness illuminates the chaos, giving you the power to cut through the fog and reclaim your peace. I had a friend once, let's call her Sarah, who worked with this colleague who always seemed to push her buttons. Every meeting, this guy would interrupt her mid-sentence, dismiss her ideas with a wave of his hand, or make snarky comments that left everyone in the room a little uneasy. At first, Sarah would get flustered, her face flushing as she tried to defend herself. She'd snap back, her voice rising, only to leave work feeling completely drained, like she'd just run a marathon. It was exhausting, and she started dreading those meetings, knowing the cycle would repeat. But then Sarah did something powerful. She started paying attention to why his behavior got under her skin so much. She took a step back and reflected on her reactions, digging into the emotions bubbling up inside her. She realized it wasn't just his rudeness that bothered her. It was that she felt dismissed, like her voice didn't matter, like she was invisible. That feeling struck a deeper chord, reminding her of times in her past when she'd felt unheard or overlooked. Once she saw that connection, everything changed. Instead of reacting on impulse, she started responding calmly, asserting her ideas with a quiet confidence that didn't invite his drama. It was like she'd learned to sidestep a punch in a fencing match, graceful, deliberate, untouchable. She wasn't fighting fire with fire anymore. She was choosing her moves with intention, and that made all the difference. Self-awareness is your shield, a protective layer that keeps toxic interactions from penetrating too deeply. It's about knowing what sets you off and why, so you can choose how to respond rather than letting your emotions take the wheel. Next time someone's negativity starts creeping in, maybe it as a friend, as passive-aggressive comment, or a family member as judgmental tone, pause and ask yourself, why is this bothering me? What's this triggering? Maybe it's reminding you of a past hurt, like a time you felt rejected, or maybe it's hitting a sore spot about your confidence, making you question your worth. Whatever it is, naming it gives you power. It's like shining a spotlight on the shadows. You see them for what they are, and they lose their grip on you. You're not just reacting on autopilot, caught in a cycle of frustration or defensiveness. Instead, you're choosing your move, deciding how much energy to give the situation and how to protect your inner peace. And that choice? It's the first step to keeping toxic people from stealing your calm, from letting their smoke cloud your clarity. With self-awareness, you're not just surviving those interactions, you're mastering them, navigating through the fog with a steady hand and a clear mind, ready to take on whatever comes next. The dance of forgiveness and memory. Now let's get a bit cosmic for a moment. Picture the night sky, stars twinkling in the vast darkness, each one a person who lifts you up, who adds light to your life with their kindness, support, or understanding. These are the friends, family members, or even strangers whose presence feels like a warm glow, guiding you through your days with a sense of connection and joy. But then, there are the black holes, those toxic folks who seem to suck the joy right out of you, pulling you into a vortex of negativity with their harsh words, constant criticism, or manipulative behavior. It's a dramatic contrast, isn't it? One moment you're basking in the light of those stars, and the next you're struggling against the gravitational pull of someone who drains your energy. So, how do you navigate that kind of darkness without getting pulled in, without losing yourself in their emotional black hole? The answer lies in two powerful tools: forgiveness and memory, a duo that can guide you through the galaxy of relationships with grace and strength. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook or pretending their behavior didn't hurt. It is not about excusing their actions or brushing off the pain they caused as if it never happened. No, forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the weight of resentment, about releasing the heavy burden you've been carrying so you can move forward unencumbered. Think of it like fuel for a spaceship. You need it to break free from the gravity of grudges that threaten to hold you in place. I remember a time when a close friend betrayed my trust. Their words cut deep, slicing through our bond like a knife. And for weeks I carried that anger like a backpack full of bricks, each step weighed down by bitterness and hurt. I replayed the moment over and over, wondering how they could do that to me. But then I had a realization. Holding on to that anger wasn't hurting them, it was slowing me down. They were going about their life unaware or unbothered, while I was stuck, tethered to the past. Forgiving them didn't mean I had to trust them again or invite them back into my life with open arms. It meant I was choosing to let go of the pain, to release that weight so I could soar forward, lighter and more at peace. It was a gift I gave myself, not them, and it opened up space for healing and growth. But here's the other half of the equation: memory. Your past experiences with toxic people, they're like a star map, a celestial guide etched with the lessons of your journey through the galaxy of relationships. Each encounter teaches you something valuable. Maybe it's a red flag to watch for, like someone who's always criticizing others to feel superior, or maybe it's a lesson about your own limits, showing you where you need to draw the line. These moments aren't just painful memories, they're signposts, helping you navigate future interactions with wisdom. For example, if you've dealt with someone who manipulates by playing the victim, constantly turning the tables to avoid accountability, your memory whispers, "Hey, I've seen this before. Time to set a boundary and protect my peace." It's like having an internal navigator, a quiet voice that reminds you of the patterns to avoid. Maybe it is recognizing a friend who guilt-trips you into doing things, or a coworker who undermines you with subtle jabs. Your memory lights the way, urging you to steer clear of those black holes before they pull you in too deep. Forgiveness and memory together. They're your compass, helping you soar through life's cosmic dance without getting stuck in the dark. Forgiveness fuels your ascent, breaking the gravitational pull of resentment, while memory charts your course, ensuring you don't repeat the same orbits. Together, they empower you to navigate the stars and black holes alike, choosing who to let into your orbit and how to protect the light within you. This cosmic approach transforms toxic encounters into opportunities for growth. turning the night sky into a map of resilience and strength. The anchor of emotional stability. Let's talk about staying steady when the world around you feels like a hurricane, whipping up chaos and leaving you struggling to find your footing. Toxic people can make you feel like you're trekking through a dense fog. One wrong step and you're lost, disoriented, unable to see the path ahead. Their negativity, whether it's a biting comment, a manipulative tactic, or a constant stream of complaints, can cloud your clarity, making every decision feel uncertain and every interaction heavy. But there's a way to clear that fog, a way to stand firm no matter how fierce the winds blow, and it starts with emotional stability. This is where Stoicism really shines, offering a timeless framework for navigating life's storms with grace. It's not about being cold or emotionless, shutting down your feelings or pretending the chaos doesn't exist. Instead, it's about being like a mountain, unshaken, rooted deep into the earth, standing tall no matter how wild the storm gets. You feel the wind, you hear the thunder, but you remain steady, a pillar of calm in the midst of the tempest. Think about someone you know who always seems calm, even when chaos is swirling around them like a tornado. Maybe it's a friend who never loses their cool during a heated argument, or a colleague who handles a crisis with a quiet confidence that puts everyone else at ease. They're not ignoring the drama, they're just not letting it control them. That's the Stoic way, a philosophy that teaches us to focus on what we can truly control: our responses, our mindset, our actions. The external world might be a whirlwind of toxicity, but you get to decide how much of that storm gets inside you. Let me tell you about a guy I knew, Tom, who worked in a high-pressure office with a boss who thrived on creating tension. This boss was a master of chaos. Every meeting was a minefield of criticism, impossible demands, and shifting expectations that left the team on edge. While everyone else was frazzled, their nerves frayed and tempers short, Tom stayed cool. He'd take a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment, and focus on what he could control, like doing his best work, preparing thoroughly, and communicating clearly. The rest? The boss's outbursts, the unreasonable deadlines, he let them roll off like water off a raincoat. He wasn't indifferent to the pressure. He was deliberate in his choice to prioritize his peace over the chaos. Tom became a quiet example of resilience, showing that emotional stability isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about choosing where to direct them. So, how do you get there? How do you cultivate that mountain-like steadiness when toxicity threatens to knock you off balance? Mindfulness is a big part of it. And yes, I know mindfulness gets thrown around a lot these days, but hear me out. It works. It's like stepping into the eye of the hurricane, that calm center where the storm rages all around, but you remain untouched. When a toxic person comes at you with their negativity, maybe it is a family member, sharp criticism, or a friend's passive-aggressive jab, pause. Or take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air fill your lungs and let it anchor you. Notice their words, their tone, the emotions they're stirring up, but don't let it pull you into the storm. It's like watching clouds pass in the sky. They're there, drifting by, but they don't define your day, and they certainly don't dictate your inner weather. Mindfulness gives you that space to observe without reacting, to feel without being overwhelmed. By staying grounded in the present moment, you are not just surviving the storm, you're rebuilding a foundation that no amount of toxicity can shake. You become the mountain, steady and unshakable, a testament to the power of emotional stability in the face of life's hurricanes. With this foundation, you're ready to face whatever comes your way, knowing that your peace is yours to protect, no matter the weather. The art of setting boundaries. Imagine your life as a canvas, a wide, beautiful expanse where every interaction you have is a brushstroke, adding color and shape to the picture you're creating. Some people add vibrant, beautiful hues, friends who lift you up with their laughter, and support, colleagues who inspire you with their creativity and encouragement, or family members who bring warmth and understanding to your days. These brushstrokes blend together to form a masterpiece, a reflection of the joy and connection you cultivate. But then there are those toxic folks who leave dark, heavy marks, smudging the canvas with their negativity, throwing off the whole picture. Maybe it's a coworker who constantly criticizes, a friend who drains you with endless complaints, or a relative who undermines your efforts with subtle jabs. Their presence feels like a storm cloud over your artwork, and it can be hard to keep the balance when those dark strokes threaten to overshadow the light. So how do you keep your canvas looking like a masterpiece, vibrant and true to your vision? The answer lies in setting boundaries, Stoic style, a deliberate and thoughtful approach to protecting the beauty of your life. The Stoics were masters at this, and their wisdom offers a blueprint for maintaining control over your inner world. They didn't build impenetrable walls to shut everyone out, isolating themselves from all human connection. Instead, they chose which gates to open and when, deciding who and what deserved their time and energy. Setting boundaries isn't about being harsh or cutting people off completely. It is about protecting your energy, treating it like a precious resource that you guard with care. Picture your energy as water in a desert, a scarce and vital commodity that sustains you. Would you pour it out recklessly for someone who is just going to let it evaporate under the scorching sun of their negativity, leaving you parched and depleted? Or would you save it for those who help your life bloom, watering the relationships and pursuits that bring growth and fulfillment? This metaphor underscores the importance of discernment, knowing where to invest your emotional reserves to keep your canvas thriving. I had a neighbor once who was a textbook energy drainer, a person who seemed to thrive on turning every conversation into a litany of complaints. Whether it was the weather, the news, or some minor inconvenience, they'd launch into a tirade that sucked the life out of me. At first, I'd listen politely, nodding along out of habit or a sense of duty, but it left me exhausted, my own enthusiasm drained by their endless negativity. Then I decided to take action and started setting boundaries. I'd smile, keep it light, and say something like, "I hear you, but I've got to run," before redirecting the conversation to something neutral, like the weather in a positive light or a shared interest. It wasn't rude or confrontational, it was respectful to myself, a way of honoring my own limits. I was choosing where to spend my energy, deciding that I wouldn't let their dark brushstrokes dominate my day. Over time, this small shift made a big difference, preserving my peace and allowing me to engage with them on my terms. Setting boundaries is about knowing your worth and saying, "This is where I draw the line," with a calm confidence that reflects self-respect rather than aggression. Maybe it's limiting how much time you spend with a negative coworker, excusing yourself from their venting sessions to focus on your work. Or perhaps it's calmly telling a friend that their gossip isn't your thing, steering the conversation elsewhere without judgment. It's not about building walls of hostility. It's about curating your space with intention, ensuring that your energy flows toward what uplifts you. And when you start curating your energy like this, your life's canvas starts to transform. The dark marks fade into the background, overshadowed by the vibrant strokes of positive connections and personal growth. You're painting with intention, each decision a deliberate act of self-care, and that's a powerful thing. It turns your life into a work of art that reflects your strength and resilience, a masterpiece shaped by the boundaries you set. The power of energy intelligence. Let's talk about energy intelligence because dealing with toxic people is like navigating a thunderstorm, sudden, unpredictable, and capable of turning your sunny day upside down in an instant. Their negativity can roll in like dark clouds, unleashing a downpour of harsh words, criticism, or manipulative behavior that threatens to soak your good mood and leave you feeling drained. But here's the good news. You've got a secret weapon, a powerful tool that puts you in the driver's seat, the ability to choose how you engage with that storm. Think of your energy as a protective barrier, like the sturdy walls of an ancient city, built to withstand sieges and keep invaders at bay. It's there to safeguard your peace, to shield your inner calm from the chaos that toxic people might bring, acting as a fortress that lets you decide who gets in and who stays out. Energy intelligence is about making deliberate choices, a skill that empowers you to manage your responses with intention rather than letting someone else's negativity dictate your day. It's like picking the right fuel for your car. You wouldn't pour sugar into the tank and expect it to run smoothly. So why let toxic interactions fuel your emotions with frustration or anger? Instead, you can choose how to respond, maybe with patience, offering a kind word to diffuse the tension, or perhaps by not engaging at all, stepping back to preserve your energy. I remember a time when I was at a coffee shop, savoring a quiet moment with my drink, when the person behind me started being outright rude to the barista. Their tone was sharp, their words cutting, and my first instinct was to snap back to call them out and defend the barista's dignity. My blood pressure rose, and I could feel the heat of irritation building. But instead, I took a deep breath, let the urge to react pass, and chose to let it go. I didn't need to add fuel to their storm. My involvement wouldn't change their behavior, but it would certainly disrupt my morning. That choice kept my calm intact, and I walked away feeling lighter, unburdened by the weight of their negativity. It was a small victory, but it showed me the power of directing my energy where it mattered. This isn't tea about avoiding conflict altogether, or pretending toxic behavior doesn't exist. It's about choosing battles that align with your peace, deciding when to stand your ground and when to walk away. It's like being a tree in a windstorm. Your roots keep you grounded, anchoring you in your values and self-worth, while your branches are flexible enough to sway without breaking under the pressure. When you master this kind of energy intelligence, toxic energy doesn't stand a chance. It either dissipates, fading away as you refuse to feed it, or it moves on, seeking a weaker target because you're too steady to be shaken. Picture yourself as that resilient tree, tall, strong, and unbending in your core, yet adaptable enough to weather the gusts without losing your shape. This balance is what turns you into an unshakable force, someone who can face negativity head-on and come out unscathed. So next time you're faced with someone's negativity, whether it's a friend's sarcastic remark, a co-worker's passive-aggressive jab, or a stranger's outburst, pause and ask yourself, how can I protect my peace? How can I channel my energy to stay true to who I am? Maybe it means taking a moment to breathe and respond with kindness, turning the interaction into an opportunity to model better behavior. Or perhaps it's stepping away, letting their storm pass without letting it rain on your parade. That is your superpower, energy intelligence, and it gives you the ability to navigate the thunderstorms of life with grace, keeping your inner city walls strong and your peace intact. With practice, this skill becomes second nature, transforming every encounter into a chance to reinforce your resilience and paint your days with the colors of calm and confidence, staying focused on your path. Let's shift gears and talk about your goals, because toxic people have a knack for throwing you off course, derailing the plans you've worked so hard to set in motion. Maybe you're working toward a big dream, starting a business from the ground up, learning a new skill that excites you, or just trying to live a happier, more fulfilling life. It feels good to have that vision, doesn't it? That spark of purpose that drives you forward, giving you a sense of direction and hope as you take each step toward your aspirations. You can almost see the finish line, the moment when all your effort pays off, but then someone comes along with their skepticism or criticism, and suddenly your path feels a little less clear. Their words, whether it's a friend questioning your choices, a family member suggesting you're wasting your time, or a co-worker doubting your abilities, can cast a shadow over your confidence, making you second-guess the journey you've embarked on. Take Jordan, for example. He was a guy with a dream to start an online business, a vision he believed in with every fiber of his being. He was all in, spending late nights researching market trends, sketching out business plans, and pouring his heart into building something from scratch. His passion was palpable, a fire that fueled his every move. But his friends and family, they weren't so sure. Some openly doubted him, shaking their heads and saying things like, "That'll never work," while others suggested safer paths, urging him to stick to a traditional job instead of taking the risk. It could have derailed him, planting seeds of doubt that might have stopped him in his tracks. But Jordan did something smart. He stayed focused. Instead of getting caught up in arguments or trying to prove himself to the naysayers, he put his energy into his work. He learned from online tutorials, built his website step by step, and kept going, even when the progress felt slow. And bit by bit, his business took shape, a testament to his resilience and determination, growing stronger with each hurdle he overcame. The Stoics would have loved Jordan's approach, seeing it as a perfect embodiment of their philosophy. They believed in focusing on what's in your control, your actions, your effort, your mindset, and letting go of what isn't, like other people's opinions or the noise of external criticism. This mindset is a powerful shield, allowing you to stay on track no matter who tries to pull you off course. When negativity comes your way, think of it like rain on a raincoat. It might hit you, those skeptical comments or dismissive remarks, but it doesn't have to soak you, seeping into your thoughts and dampening your spirit. You can smile, nod politely to acknowledge the input, and keep moving toward your goals with unwavering focus. Your dreams are yours to chase, a personal mission shaped by your desires and efforts, and no one's negativity gets to rent space in your head for free. By refusing to let their words take root, you reclaim your power, turning their doubt into motivation to prove to yourself what you're capable of. This Stoic-inspired resilience ensures that your goals remain the centerpiece of your journey, a beacon that guides you through the storm of toxic influences, keeping your path clear and your purpose alive. The strength in seeking support. Sometimes toxic people feel like a storm cloud that just won't move, hovering over your life with a persistent drizzle of negativity that's hard to escape. You try to stay calm. You set boundaries to protect your peace, but their presence still tests your patience, pushing you to the edge of frustration. It's like being stuck in quicksand. The harder you struggle against their comments, their attitudes, or their draining energy, the deeper you sink into a cycle of irritation and exhaustion. You might feel trapped, wondering how to break free when their influence seems relentless, casting a shadow over your efforts to maintain your composure. But here's a secret that can change the game. You don't have to go it alone. Reaching out for support isn't a sign of weakness. Far from it. It is a mark of wisdom, a recognition that even the strongest among us need a hand to navigate the toughest storms. Think of it like lighting a candle in a dark room, a small but powerful act that pierces the gloom and reveals what was hidden. Sharing your struggles with someone who gets it, a friend who listens without judgment, a mentor with a wealth of experience, or even a therapist trained to guide you through emotional challenges, can shine a light on paths you did not see before. It's not about handing over your problems for someone else to solve. It's about gaining clarity from an outside perspective that can illuminate new strategies or perspectives. I remember a time when I was dealing with a particularly difficult colleague whose constant negativity was wearing me down. Every interaction felt like a battle, snarky remarks, dismissive tones, and a general cloud of pessimism that left me feeling depleted. I was trying to stay calm, setting boundaries where I could, but I felt like I was losing my cool, my patience fraying at the edges. So I called up a friend who's great at seeing things clearly, someone who always has a knack for cutting through the noise. She didn't fix it for me. She didn't march into my workplace and confront the colleague. But she listened, asked thoughtful questions, and reminded me of my own strength. That conversation was like a reset button, a moment of relief that gave me the clarity to handle the situation without losing myself. I walked away with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to approach the challenge with a steadier hand. Stoicism teaches us to control our reactions, to focus on what's within our power and let go of the rest, but it also reminds us that we're not islands, isolated and self-sufficient in every storm. Sometimes, an outside perspective helps you zoom out, like looking at a map from a higher view where the twists and turns of your journey become clearer. You see new routes, new ways to navigate the quicksand of toxic interactions, maybe a different boundary to set, a new way to redirect a conversation, or simply the courage to step back. So don't be afraid to lean on the people who lift you up, those stars in your life who offer support without trying to take over. They're not fighting your battles for you. They're helping you sharpen your own sword, giving you the tools and encouragement to face the storm with resilience and wisdom. This support network becomes your anchor, a source of strength that empowers you to keep moving forward, no matter how heavy the clouds might feel. Mastering your inner voice. Let's talk about the conversations you have with yourself, because when it comes to dealing with toxic people, your self-talk can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy, shaping how you weather their storms. Ever notice how easy it is to spiral after a negative encounter? Someone snaps at you with a harsh word or a cutting remark, and suddenly your mind takes off, racing down a rabbit hole of self-doubt. You might catch yourself thinking, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough," letting those thoughts take root like weeds in the garden of your mind. Those inner voices can grow quickly, choking out your confidence and leaving you feeling smaller than you are, especially when toxic people seem to know just where to aim their barbs. It's a sneaky trap, this tendency to let their negativity seep into your self-perception, turning a single moment into a lingering cloud of insecurity. But here's where Stoicism flips the script, offering a powerful shift in perspective that puts you back in control. It's not about what happens to you, whether it's a rude comment, a dismissive attitude, or an outright attack. It's about how you talk to yourself about it. Instead of letting those weeds take root and spread, try planting seeds of strength, cultivating a mindset that nurtures resilience rather than doubt. I had a moment like this not long ago that tested me in a real way. A client I was working with sent me a curt email, tearing apart a project I'd poured hours into, their words sharp and unsparing. My first thought was a gut punch. I messed up. I'm terrible at this. And for a second I felt the weight of their criticism settle over me. But then I caught myself, pausing before that thought could dig in deeper. I asked, "Okay, how can I learn from this? What can I do better next time?" That shift didn't erase the sting. Honestly, it still hurt. But it turned the moment into a chance to grow, a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. By reframing the experience, I reclaimed my power, using their feedback as fuel for improvement instead of a verdict on my worth. Your self-talk is like a shield, a protective layer that catches the arrows of toxic comments before they can pierce your spirit. When those harsh words come flying at you, a strong inner voice deflects them, turning away the negativity with a steady hand. It's about detachment, not cold or uncaring, as if you're shutting off your emotions but choosing not to let someone else's negativity rewrite your story. This isn't about ignoring the impact. It's about deciding that their perspective doesn't get to define you. You're the author of your narrative, and you get to decide which chapters matter. So next time you're tempted to beat yourself up after a toxic encounter, pause. Take a breath, give yourself a moment to step back from the edge. Ask, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Would you tell them they're worthless, or would you encourage them? Remind them of their strengths and help them see a way forward. Then say that to yourself. You're worth that kindness, that compassion, and by nurturing a positive inner dialogue, you build a fortress against the negativity that tries to invade. This practice transforms your self-talk into a tool of empowerment, a shield that grows stronger with each use, helping you stand tall no matter who tries to dim your light. Choosing your battles. Here's a piece of advice as old as time. Choose your battles wisely. When it comes to dealing with toxic people, not every conflict is worth your energy, and recognizing that can be a game changer for your well-being. It's like walking through a maze in the dark. Every step is tentative, and some walls you bump into aren't worth climbing over. These are the dead ends, the pointless arguments or confrontations that drain your time, sap your peace, and leave you with no reward at the end, only a lingering sense of frustration. Toxic individuals often thrive on creating these traps, baiting you with their criticism, sarcasm, or endless debates, hoping to pull you into their chaos. But by discerning which battles are worth fighting, you can conserve your strength and keep your focus on what truly matters, sidestepping the quicksand of unnecessary drama. I learned this the hard way with an old acquaintance who loved to argue, turning every conversation into a battleground. They'd poke at my opinions with a sly grin, challenging me just to get a reaction, as if winning a debate was their life's mission. At first I'd bite, jumping in to prove my point, my voice rising, my pulse quickening as I tried to outmaneuver them. It felt good in the moment, a rush of defending myself, but it was exhausting, leaving me drained and irritable. Worse, it never changed anything. They'd just come back with another jab the next time, undeterred. Then I started practicing silence, a subtle but powerful shift in my approach. I wasn't ignoring them or shutting them out completely. Instead, I'd nod, stay calm, and refrain from engaging in their game. It was like taking the wind out of their sails. Without my reaction to fuel their fire, their negativity had nowhere to go. They'd fizzle out, left to argue with themselves, while I walked away with my energy intact, a quiet victory that felt more satisfying than any debate could. The Stoics were big on this, seeing it as a cornerstone of their philosophy. They knew that arguing with someone who is set on being toxic is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It just makes things worse, escalating the tension and burning through your reserves. Instead of feeding the flames, they advocated for a strategic retreat, a way to rise above the fray without losing your dignity. Try asking questions that shift the dynamic, like, "What makes you feel that way?" or "Can you tell me more about why this matters to you?" These aren't about agreeing with them or surrendering your stance. They're about redirecting the energy, turning a potential fight into a moment of reflection. It keeps you in control, allowing you to maintain your peace while subtly diffusing their hostility. This approach takes practice, but it's a skill that pays off, giving you the upper hand without ever raising your voice. Your energy is precious, a limited resource that deserves to be spent wisely. Save it for the battles that matter, the ones that align with your values and your peace. Whether it is standing up for a principle you believe in or protecting someone you care about. Let the toxic dead ends fade into the background, not because you're weak, but because you're smart enough to know where your strength is best applied. By choosing your battles with intention, you turn the maze into a path of empowerment, walking through the darkness with a clear sense of purpose and a lighter heart, seeing through false cordiality. Ever meet someone who seems friendly on the surface, but something feels off, like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit? Their smile doesn't reach their eyes, staying tight and forced, or their words drip with sweetness, but lack the warmth you'd expect from genuine kindness. That's false cordiality, a deceptive mask that can catch you off guard if you're not paying attention. It's like a spark that could start a wildfire if you're not careful, igniting a toxic dynamic that spreads quickly and burns through your peace. Learning to spot this kind of insincerity is like having a fire extinguisher for toxic interactions, a tool that helps you douse the flames before they grow out of control. Recognizing these red flags empowers you to navigate relationships with clarity, ensuring you are not drawn into a web of hidden agendas or superficial connections that leave you feeling uneasy. Body language is a big clue when it comes to identifying false cordiality, often revealing what words try to hide. A grin that feels forced, more like a grimace than a genuine smile, can be a giveaway. Maybe their mouth curves up, but their eyes stay cold and distant. Or perhaps their arms are crossed tightly over their chest, a defensive posture that contradicts their friendly tone, or their laugh doesn't match the moment, sounding hollow and out of place. These subtle signs are like whispers, hinting at a lack of authenticity beneath the surface. I had a co-worker once who'd shower me with compliments, calling out my work in glowing terms that seemed almost too good to be true. At first I was flattered, but their tone always felt hollow, lacking the sincerity I'd expect from true praise. Then I started noticing a pattern. They'd change their tune depending on who was in the room, their friendliness shifting like a chameleon to suit their audience. It wasn't about me or my work. It was about their agenda, a calculated effort to win favor or manipulate perceptions. Once I saw that, I could step back, keeping my distance without letting their insincerity pull me in. Pay attention to patterns too, because consistency, or the lack of it, tells a story of its own. Someone who's consistently kind, even when no one's watching, is a rare gem, a star in your sky whose light you can trust to guide you. Their actions align with their words, showing a steady authenticity that feels safe and grounding. But someone whose behavior flips like a leaf in the wind, changing based on who's around or what they stand to gain, that's a red flag waving brightly, signaling potential toxicity. Trust your gut when something feels off, when that inner voice nudges you with a sense of unease. It is not about being paranoid or assuming the worst of everyone. It is about protecting your peace and building relationships with people who are real, who show up as their true selves without hidden motives. When you spot false cordiality, you're not just dodging toxicity, you're making space for authentic connections, clearing away the sparks to nurture bonds that glow with genuine warmth. This discernment becomes your shield, helping you cultivate a circle of trust where your energy can thrive, surrounded by stars rather than wildfires. The Stoic path forward. So here we are at the end of our journey, or maybe it's just the beginning of something even greater. Dealing with toxic people isn't about building walls or shutting the world out, isolating yourself from every possible hurt. It's about building a fortress within yourself, a stronghold made of self-awareness, forgiveness, emotional stability, and wisdom, where your inner peace can thrive no matter the storm outside. This fortress isn't cold or impenetrable. It's a sanctuary, a place where you can stand firm in knowing your worth, where you can choose your battles with clarity, and where you can protect your peace like the treasure it is, guarding it from those who might try to steal it with their negativity. Each brick in this fortress is a lesson learned, a skill honed through facing the challenges of toxic interactions head-on, turning their chaos into a foundation for your strength. Stoicism isn't just an ancient philosophy tucked away in dusty books. It is a way of life, a practical guide for navigating the complexities of human relationships with grace and intention. It's about seeing the world clearly, cutting through the fog of emotions to understand what's really happening, and responding with purpose rather than reacting on impulse. It's about letting go of what you can't control, like other people's opinions, their bitterness or their actions, and focusing on what you can, your mindset, your choices, your growth. Every toxic encounter becomes a chance to practice this, to sharpen your resilience like a blade, to grow stronger with each challenge you face. The harsh words, the manipulative tactics, the draining energy, they're not just obstacles, they're opportunities to test your stoic tools, to see how far you've come in building that inner fortress. And the best part? You don't have to do it alone. Surround yourself with people who light up your path, those who radiate positivity and remind you of your strength when the fog gets thick and the journey feels heavy. These are the allies who help you see clearly, who bolster your resolve when toxicity threatens to dim your light. So here's my invitation to you. The next time you face a toxic person, whether it as a critical coworker, a judgmental relative, or a friend who drains you, take a breath, grounding yourself in the moment. Remember the tools we've explored together: self-awareness to understand your triggers, boundaries to protect your energy intelligence to choose your responses wisely, and so much more. You're not just navigating their negativity, you're crafting a life of peace and purpose, one intentional step at a time. Each encounter is a brushstroke on the canvas of your journey, and you get to decide how it shapes your masterpiece. And if you're hungry for more stoic wisdom to fuel your growth, there's a whole world of it waiting for you. Check out the resources we've got linked below, where you'll find insights, stories, and strategies to deepen your practice. Join a community of people who are walking this path too, sharing the journey of building resilience and finding peace. Your peace is worth fighting for. It is a treasure that no one can take unless you let them. Let's keep going, together, as we continue to grow, learn, and thrive in the face of life's challenges. A solution-oriented mindset. Dealing with toxic people can feel like navigating a maze in a fog. Every step feels uncertain, and the air's heavy with tension, making it hard to find your way forward. Their negativity wraps around you like a thick mist, obscuring your clarity with sharp words, passive-aggressive jabs, or relentless complaints, leaving you unsure of how to proceed without tripping over your own emotions. But what if you could turn those moments into opportunities, transforming the challenge into a chance to grow, rather than seeing it as an impenetrable roadblock? That's where a solution-oriented mindset comes in, rooted in the timeless Stoic principles that emphasize resilience and perspective. It's about flipping the script, shifting your focus from the chaos they bring to the potential for personal growth, using their toxicity as a catalyst to strengthen your inner resolve and sharpen your skills. Think of it like playing chess, a game of strategy where every move matters. When you're up against a toxic person, you don't just react impulsively, lashing out or withdrawing in frustration. You think a few moves ahead, planning your response with intention. Maybe it's a coworker who's always stirring up drama, turning the office into a battlefield with their gossip or snide remarks. Instead of getting pulled into their chaos, letting their energy drag you down, you listen, stay calm, and respond with clarity, keeping your composure as your greatest asset. I knew someone who dealt with a manipulative friend by asking reflective questions like, "What's got you so upset about this?" or "Can you help me understand where this is coming from?" It wasn't about winning an argument or proving a point. It was about shifting the conversation, gently steering it away from conflict and toward understanding, keeping the focus on solutions rather than getting entangled in their web of negativity. This approach disarms the tension, turning a potential showdown into a moment of insight, both for you and sometimes for them. This solution-oriented mindset takes creativity and adaptability, requiring you to think on your feet and adjust to the shifting dynamics of toxic interactions. You're like a tree in a storm, firmly rooted in your values, grounded in your sense of self-worth and peace, but flexible enough to bend without breaking under the pressure. Your roots give you stability, a foundation that keeps you from being uprooted by their harsh winds, while your flexibility allows you to sway, finding ways to respond that preserve your energy and dignity. The next time you're faced with negativity, whether it's a family member's criticism, a friend's constant complaining, or a stranger's rude outburst, pause and ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that keeps my peace? Maybe it's redirecting the conversation to a neutral topic, like the weather or a shared interest, to diffuse the tension. Or perhaps it's setting a firm but kind boundary, saying, I'm not up for this right now, to protect your space. Or simply walking away, removing yourself from the fog without a backward glance. Whatever it is, you're not just avoiding the fog. You're charting a clear path through it, turning a murky maze into a journey of growth and self-mastery. This Stoic-inspired approach empowers you to rise above the chaos, using each encounter as a brushstroke to paint a stronger, more resilient version of yourself, one where peace and progress prevail.